Hi, this is Eyewear with the US Chartbreakers here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Friday, the 11th of April. Starting off with the S&P, which is sandwiched between the previous support line projection target, that was around 54.50, and then the old support there around 52.20, which we're hoping that this market will manage to stay above. That is basically a line from back in May last year. And obviously, with the RSI failure near neutral 50, it looks as though we might have to not only head for 52.20, but maybe retrace part of the losses down towards 4,800 that we sustained over the past week. Moving along to the Nasdaq, which has been historically that much weaker than the S&P in chart terms and relative terms. Here we managed to actually get rather higher above the support line projection from December, fitting that gap there up towards 19,150, but we're back below that line now at 18,600, let's call it, and have the risk of having to test the 17,500 area, which is the key support for this market, a line on the chart, the daily chart there from back in May. RSI's failed at neutral 50, so that is a leading indicator on the downside and would only really be cancelled out if we got back above that 19,200 zone. Moving on to the stocks, and quite a few recent winners actually, despite the market volatility. The first one, which is trying to bounce, is American Rebel. Here we had pushed to the 50-day line around the $15 or $16 level. Currently got the 50-day line at $14.50, and we need to see that broken really to get up to the implied target there here, the top of that falling trend channel from November, near $25. Basically, while we're above $7, but just still in the game, recent support, but don't really want to see this market trade anything lower than that, especially with the RSI below neutral 50 at 47. Moving along to so it's an old favorite, but we're back with the situation at Baosheng, and here you can see that we've managed to we're trying to bounce here towards that 50-day line. The 50-day line at $2.65. We can get through that, then the main resistance here is towards $3.50, and that's what we're looking for. We like the way that there's been a gap, unfilled gap to the upside, or at least a push through the recent resistance there around $2, and above that we are looking for the $3 plus area, at least $3.50 area for this situation. Bionano is next, and here a situation which has looked encouraging and still continues to look encouraging. Bionano, broadening triangle here, we managed to close back above the 50-day line there at $4.20. 50-day line also giving me the impression of starting to rise, which is always good news near the low, and the top of the triangle there up to as high as $7 or $7.20, hopefully by the end of this month, while we can stay above recent resistance around $3.95. Moving on to a new name, and here the picture at FST is that of a potential double bottom, slightly higher low there versus last month, and looking for the shares to break the recent resistance around $2.50 and head up to the 50-day moving average at $4.78, perhaps as soon as the end of this month, although maybe we should give it up to the end of next month. Another new name coming up, HeartSciences, and here picture that of breaking through the 50-day line quite nicely. That's also rising now, so that's at $3.24. Above that, rather simply looking for $4 over the next week or so, which would at least retest recent resistance for the shares. You can see that the $4 to $5 area has been the resistance for the shares over the recent past. RSI also pushed through neutral 50 quite strongly, so that does give the impression of a stock which will at least head back to 1 to 2 month resistance in the $4 area. Very happy to see the next stock do well. I think it was the top riser in the market. We did cover it earlier in the week. Here you can see that innovative eyewear has broken or hit that target there around $4.60, and above that line looking for up to $7 by the end of this month, which is the top of a broadening triangle there from the beginning of the year. Ideally, whatever happens, we stay above that 50-day moving average at $3.89. One of the biggest movers of the recent past, and one that we did flag A while back, we were looking for the $7 to $8 area, and obviously that's been blown out of the water. There was a final bear trap situation down towards the $4 area before the move higher, so the stock keen to remove anyone who's accidentally in there. But we're still looking for the $60 area or a retest of that while we're above recent closing levels there around $38. Moving along to another situation which may have legs, which is Keros, and here you see that the shares have broken through, gapped through their 50-day moving average, which is quite a strong signal, and really looking for the stock to get back towards the resistance, well, the support on the way down, which was up to the $15 area, hopefully by the end of next month, while they remain above that 50-day moving average, just under the $11 area. Interestingly named stock coming up next, the Lovesac company. Obviously, somebody spent a lot of time thinking of that name. Here, the barrier, the 50-day line, that's at $19.54, but we're looking for a return to the $22 to $24 area, which was that trading range that the shares had at the turn of the year, and we're hoping for that by the end of this month. Bear Trap Island reversal was well, so gapping down, then gapping up, and ideally above the top of the gap. The shares can make progress there, top of the gap there, around the $17.50 area. Another recent stock which we've been looking at is NextNRG, and here still in a range, but hoping for a move towards the top of that broadening triangle in the top of the range, $4 plus, especially while we remain above the recent battleground for the shares around $2.60. So that hopefully will pan out, especially with the RSI now just pushing through that neutral 50 level. Another recent stock which we've been covering is 60 Degrees, and here we've got a rising trend channel base. Top of the channel there heading $7, which we're looking for by the end of next month, while we remain above the 50-day moving average, currently at $2.24. Finishing off with a stock which should, in the current environment, the tariff environment, do rather well, US rare earths, and here we have the gap higher. We've been finding support near the top of the gap around the $7.30 area, and the longer we stay above that, the greater the chance of a move up to the 50-day line there at $10.76. Hopefully that'll pan out by the end of this month. We've also got bullish divergence in there as well after that lower low that we had at the turn of the month. That's it for me today. More updates over the weekend.